Hello, YouTube. I know you all probably ain't never seen my face before. Hence, I don't do videos. Just don't. I watch a lot of them, but just don't do videos. Just never thought of doing them before, so until now, today. For the past day or two, I've been with a heavy heart, needless to say. And we all know why. Adam was a wonderful friend. He was a great individual. I had the pleasure of meeting him. He was going through Arkansas, and at this time, I was staying with my mom. And anyhow, long story short, he was coming through Arkansas, and I had happened to hop on one of his previous videos saying, he was taking a trip down that way, and I had messaged him, made a comment, hey, if you're this way, give me a shout, and maybe we can meet up and have a cup of coffee. Anyway, long story short, we met briefly, say for about maybe 30 minutes, give or take, 30 minutes, I didn't want to be in any video or anything. I'm not a video person. You can tell, I'm just not a video person. I'm just not that type. Anyway, with that being said, I've always admired Adam as an individual, as a person. He's gave me a lot of insight and inspiration if I ever wanted to pick up any type of vlogging or video taping, or video stuff, as far as that goes. Very he just took the camera in his hand and just went with it. He just showed that you didn't need experience. You didn't need a film degree, or you didn't need some sort of, filming experience, so to speak, to film, and make a story at what you're filming, Adam had a great knack for that. He had a great knack for telling the history and made it into a wholesome, down-to-earth video, Adam was how could you say, an ancient soul, very ancient soul. He had a lot of wisdom beyond his years, per se. And no matter what, and no matter who he met or who he came across, he always came with open arms. He always welcomed you with open arms. He treated you just like if you was his brother or his sister. I mean, that's just the way he was. The reason why I'm making this video today is because today, well, actually 12 hours ago, this YouTuber, I'm not going to mention his name just yet, but I'm going to get to that in a minute, okay? I didn't like some of the things that he was alluding to, and plus two other YouTubers were mentioned in this video too, that's allegedly what they were saying. And I'm going to get to that too. And I don't like it at all. You're not gonna how can I say this tactfully without being banned? Right. Yeah. You're not just gonna throw assumptions and have and let people lead to believe other nefarious things about an individual that is never like that. Could he had a medical issue? Sure. Was it a long flight? Absolutely. Could that cause an issue? Absolutely. I have family who are in the medical field. I have family who are doctors, and I have family who are surgeons. And I addressed this to them the past couple days. And my cousin, I'm not going to mention her name, but she's a doctor. And she said that anybody who is a certain height, when you go on these planes are only, how can I say, is only engineered and designed for a specific height of people. Because don't forget, for one, it's a plane, okay? And people are boarding on this plane, all right? So, and it's a company, and they're offering a service to individuals to get from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time possible, the quickest method. Correct, right? And so you have to pay for that service, right? We all know this. Bare bones, right? All right, now, with that being said, now, with the engineering of these seats and everything, I've been on flights myself before in the past. Not recently in the past years, but I have before. And I kind of deem this to be somewhat truthful. These seats are only designed for people who are under 6 foot tall. These seats are designed for people who are only 5'10" max height is what they were designed for. So for leg room on these long economy flights, because they're trying to fit the most people in the economy flight section, so now the seats are pushed more together. So now when you sit, your legs are bent up like this. And if you don't stretch, it could possibly cause circulation issues, per se. Now, what my cousin says, that it could cause a blood clot, it could cause, any other numerous of things if you don't get up and stretch, like get up from your seat and walk to the restroom and then come back. Just that simple, boom, boom is enough, right? Now, hence, yes, I know a plane can be crowded and people are sitting together and things like that, and ride can be a little bumpy because of turbulence or air pockets, and the pilot has to compensate for that. And of course they would like for everybody to stay seated so it can be safe and the flight can be without issues. Perfectly get that. Hey, I'm for that. I'm for safety, right? You don't want people just milling about, running around, this and that, right? I get that, sure. But that being said, I mean, it's not against any type of rule or guidelines to get up and walk to the bathroom and then come back to your seat. That's what, 20 seconds? That's enough time to stretch your legs, get some movement, and get some flow, right? Right. Anyway, I'm just saying that, Hence, he did a long flight to Europe. I think it was France or somewhere like that, or something like that, or Europe somewhere. Anyway, it was in Europe. And I know a flight from where I'm from here in New York, now I live in New York. I don't live in Arkansas anymore. Yes, because I did say we met in Arkansas. Yes, I lived in Arkansas for a little while, but I am originally from New York. Yes, from Long Island, but I live in Rochester now. And long story short, I know a flight from JFK or LaGuardia to Europe is a minimum of a 7-hour flight. Minimum 7 hours. Minimum of a 7-hour flight one way. So, with that being said, that's a long flight. Especially if you're going to a point beyond that. So now you're looking at maybe 9, 10, 12-hour mark. Depends on your destination and where you're going. So, I've heard of some flights as long as 14 hours. Yeah, that's a long flight. Very long flight. I wouldn't want to be stuck on no plane for no 14 hours. I don't want to be stuck on a plane for 7. I don't want to be stuck on a plane for 5. But, 5 ain't too bad. But 5 is kind of rough. Especially with the layover, and you have to wait, and then transfer planes, then get to the terminal, then get to the gate, and I get that. Now, I think I've expounded enough on the subject, and what I feel that could have possibly happened to Adam. Sad as it may be. I just turned 50 myself. Adam's birthday is August 10th, 1974. My birthday is August 16th, 1975. Yes. We're both Leos. Yes. But, needless to say, I have health issues. I'm make no bones about it. I'm a type 2 diabetic. So, as far as Adam goes, seemed like he was in normal, healthy conditions. Doesn't seem like anything was alluding to anything, and he didn't allude to anything in previous or prior videos about his health or anything of his health. So, with that being said, I can only deduce in my own logical brain is that something internally happened while he was on that long flight, and when he got home and he got the moving around, whatnot, he did them 2 little videos, and that was it. And then that last little video, the jet lag, and he showed, his Disney Plus, whatever. And then he went to sleep. Now, with him doing all that moving around and stuff, now, if a blood clot would have formed and traveled, it would have started traveling once he started getting off that flight and moving around and stuff like that. It could have dislodged and started traveling through the veins. We all know that blood clots can be deadly. That's all I can say. As far as that, I'm not no medical expert. I that's far beyond my expertise. That's something I don't deal with. I'm not a doctor, so. But all I know is that blood clots can be deadly. That's all I know. And I know many a times that when I went to the doctors and stuff like that, because type 2 diabetes causes circulation problems, they have to do what is called a sonogram on my legs, so that what they're checking for is blood clots in my legs, right? Because circulation problems and me having diabetes, right? So they have to do kind of like a graph on my leg, and they have to take like what they use for pregnant women. They use the same thing. It's called a sonogram, and they use it on on my legs. And what they're looking for is when they zoom in, they're looking at the veins and make sure that there's no blood clot in the veins. Because it was told me that if there was blood clots in my legs, that there's a high possibility that the blood clot could travel. And it could travel to a point where it could, to the heart, to the lung, and to the brain, and could kill me. That's what I've always been told. But, like I said, I'm no doctor. I don't claim to be a doctor. I don't claim to know what I'm even talking about, but that's what I've always been told. How true that is, I don't know. But that's all I've been saying, what doctors have told me before. So, with that just being said, I'm going to expound on some things that a couple of these YouTubers try to allude to or try to convey or think that it's some mysterious, thing. Life and death is mysterious within itself, always. So, with that being said, we don't know what's to come. We don't know what's next, and that's that. I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I see New York Dan video. It's a 33-minute long video, 33 minute and 11 seconds, as a matter of fact. Just to give you known that I looked at it, right? Listen to it, right? I'm not saying he's a bad guy, per se. I don't know him personally. Haven't met him personally, So I can't speak personally about him like I know him. But what I can say is this, is that New York Dan needs to know his information before he goes spouting off things that he don't know what he's talking about. That's all I'm saying. Because if you throw some misinformation out there and mislead people, and people think on one narrative or another, and we all know how social media is. It's a gossip mill. It's a rumor mill. It's the devil. Okay, I digress. Anyway, so, with that being said, and about, Video Bob and GVIC or GVIC or whatever, Mike from Germany who lives in Venice Beach, climbed up to the window supposedly, and Video Bob said that, he was supposedly upset, but said, now this is what New York Dan quoted now, you can go on his video, when he quoted that, Video Bob said that, maybe it could have been like he'd done it himself. Let me tell you something. I wholeheartedly believe that I don't think Adam would have taken his life. Sorry, no. He loved his family too much, for one. He loved doing what he did. He loved the adventure. You know what I'm saying? So it just doesn't add up. No. Is it possible? Anything's possible, sure. Anything is possible. But you have to look at the individual's walk of life. The way they think, the way they speak, the way they move. Things of that nature. And all that leaves a telltale sign of things to come. Did he display? Of course not, never. And of course we all hear, oh, well, Steve, he never displayed anything and he just went right in the garage and did what he did. Well, I mean, sure, anything's possible, but I don't see it with Adam. Not for 1 second. Now, the sleep apnea thing and the AFib of what New York Dan is talking about. I have sleep apnea. Chronic sleep apnea. I am overweight. Look at me. Look at me. Right? Right. I have a CPAP machine. Yes. Can sleep apnea kill you? Sure. There is a lot of complications behind sleep apnea. I already know all too much. It can cause high blood pressure, can cause depression, can cause heart problems, weight problems, all kinds of stuff. Did Adam have sleep apnea? If he did, mild. If he did, mild. That's all I can say. Adam exercised too much. He walked around too much. So even if he did, it would be mild. And that's just my assumption. Okay? So, right. I just don't buy that, and I'm sorry. He didn't have any heart issues. Nah. He never said it in his videos prior or in the past. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching Adam for almost 10 years. You know what I'm saying? For almost 10 years I watched Adam. You know what I'm saying? Daily vlogs, all that. So, just New York Dan needs to really, he really needs to get, he needs to look at more factual stuff instead of assumptions. That's all I'm saying, and then I didn't like the allude part of when he said toxicology report could come out, and if there's any drugs in the system. I don't know where all this is, alluding to about, opioid and stuff like this and that. But let me tell you something. If New York Dan is assuming that Adam was doing drugs, you, my friend, need to seek professional help. Because obviously, you have to have a mental health problem. I love Adam to death. Love him. I'll love him. Great guy. He may not be here physically. But I tell you what. He may not be here physically anymore, but I tell you what, his spirit will always live on. Always. Anyway, yeah, that video rubbed me the wrong way. Terribly the wrong way. Terribly the wrong way. That New York Dan's video rubbed me the wrong way terribly. And I'm not BSing. I am not BSing. I live in Rochester. And if New York Dan has a problem with what I say, he could come back on a video and explain himself. Or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But all I'm saying is that he needs to get his facts straight. He don't need to allude or assume anything. Especially when it comes to Adam the Woo. Period. And like Adam used to say, well, shall we? I love you, Adam. Gonna miss you. Yeah, gonna miss you, bud. Yeah. Every day in my notification feed on YouTube, Adam's Daily Woo. Yeah. Wow. You never know what you have until it's gone. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you love your loved ones. Tell them that you love them every second of the day, because you do not know when they're going to be gone or what. So make every moment a precious moment with your loved ones. Always. Always. And no matter what differences you have between you and a loved one, make amends. Make amends. Because it's not that serious. Not that serious. Until next time. See ya, Adam. Rest in peace, buddy.